So we've just had the Belgium Grand Prix and it was all action at the start, wasn't it? Sergio Perez being really feisty off the line, got the move on Charles Leclerc, and that we thought would be his chance to get and make a run and try and build a gap to Max Verstappen, but Max was on a fly, wasn't he? He was up at 4th place, made easy work of it and into 2nd. Into the lead by lap 17. It was absolutely fantastic from there. Sergio Perez covered up a Red Bull 1-2, a fantastic way to finish their dominance for the first half of the season, their 5th of the season, and into the summer break, and we'll see them next at Zandvoort. Max's home race, no doubt they'll be absolutely flawless, fantastic there, but we've got a 4-week break. Behind them there was a lot of action though, wasn't there? Brilliant action. Alex Albon, he was up like 6 places into P9 early on. Shame he just dropped off further back. Alonso was further down and he went onto the hard tyres, but made that work. All action all the way through. The damage to Oscar Piastri was such a shame, with Carlos Sainz both actually seeing the end of the race following that. Piastri was out lap 2 and then Carlos Sainz with big damage to his car and suffered about 5% aero damage on that, and he later retired also. But a brilliant results for Charles Leclerc. Alonso as well did, as I said, really well. Yuki Tsunoda as well was up 5 places, a fantastic weekend for him. But let's get into the 3 good and the 3 bad of the race. Charles Leclerc, I've got to say, fantastic holding on to that 3rd place, and he had really good race pace actually. Ferrari, for a change, actually held on to their tyres really well. It's a nice change to see that, because normally we've marked the Mercedes as being sort of the top team behind Red Bulls, obviously, as managing their tyres the better throughout the race, because they normally come to life on that. But Ferraris and Charles Leclerc in particular did really well, didn't he, to hold Lewis back. He pitted, just sort of managed and mimicked Lewis's stops, pitting just a lap later, but had enough speed in there to avoid any undercuts, which was crucial actually, because in the 2nd stop he came out just about a second ahead, but it was enough, and then on the fresher tyres just made it work, pulled the gap to Lewis. That Ferrari was fast this weekend, and it's a shame in the other car that Carlos Sainz went out, but otherwise fantastic to see them back on the podium. They've got a break now where they no work for 2 weeks and then they get back to work before the Zandvoort Grand Prix, and let's hope for another good run, but a nice return to form for Charles Leclerc. And then the second one is Fernando Alonso. He started P9 and up into P5. Fantastic. That Aston Martin finding form in the race, and he had a horrible sprint day yesterday, didn't he? He was out in the race with that mistake, and he really made amends today. He was the only driver to actually try the hard tyres in the race, which I thought was a bit odd, but he really made it work, didn't he? And then he kept ahead of George Russell at the end, which was crucial to get out of that. Managed it by just about a 1.5 seconds where he came out ahead of George and then comfortably kept him behind. A solid race from Fernando Alonso, but he wasn't really pushing on Lewis Hamilton, who was ahead of him. I mean, so far behind that Lewis had a free pit stop at the end to get the fastest lap for Lewis Hamilton in the end, so he got an extra point, finishing 4th for Lewis there. But yeah, going back to Alonso, great to see the Aston Martin back up, moving forward, and hopefully they'll get back in the mix and get the head down over the weekend. And Ocon, surprise here actually, he made up 6 places from his start place, got into the points and finished P8. Fantastic weekend. It's been a horrible weekend for the team, hasn't it, with the announcement of Otmar Zafnauer and Alan Permain leaving that team. All changed there, and actually the sprint day yesterday was really good, and the race recovery today was fantastic from Ocon. Pierre Gasly just missing out on the points, unfortunately, but yeah, what a comeback. And just finally, no, it's normally 3 good, but a shout out to Yuki Tsunoda, brilliant P10, beats his teammate by 6 places, his more experienced teammate Denny Rick. Tsunoda putting some manners on him this weekend, and a fantastic race for him. On to the 3 bad, and well, we're going to start with the McLarens. Lando, Norris and Oscar Piastri. It just couldn't go any worse for them, could it? Oscar out in turn 1 effectively with that damage with Carlos Sainz, and Lando Norris had a strange race, didn't he? He was absolutely nowhere, falling back. came into the pits early on. He had a couple of trips in there, didn't he? And was way down at like sort of 16th, 17th at one point. But when the rain came down, he was absolutely flying. He was like 2 or 3 seconds faster than anyone at one point. Made his way back up into 7th place and pulled off what was a decent recovery in the end, because it was looking disastrous for the McLaren. That big rear wing that they had was really hampering him down the straight. So were easy pickings for pretty much anyone that was right up at the back of them in the DRS zone. But well done to Norris in the end for recovering a bit of space for McLaren there. But I expected a lot better than them this weekend. They did a decent sprint race, weren't they? But a shocking race for them today. And the Haas team, the next one up, they've had a horrible weekend. Both cars at the back, they've just been making mistakes left, right and centre. I mean, it's almost that Hülkenberg didn't even set a time in the sprint race qualifying. Hülkenberg ran at the back. He was the last of the runners again this weekend. That Haas really needs to find some performance from somewhere, because they've become the back marker, haven't they, effectively, which from where they were early on in the season and last season is a drastic drop in performance. And then the third one for the 3 bad for the race is Daniel Ricciardo's P16 after a fantastic weekend on his return to racing at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Today was just the complete opposite, wasn't it? He was absolutely nowhere. He started towards the back anyway, but made no movement really. He's finished in 16th place. Considering where his teammate was in P10, I expected a much better race for him. But they've got break coming up now. Watch out for my race and mid-season review. The driver ratings video coming up just shortly after this. Mid-season review coming, like I say, in a couple of weeks' time. Watch out for that. But a nice break coming now for us fans. There'll be a long break actually. What will we do? 4 weeks till we go out next time in Zandvoort, 25th of August, the home race of Max Verstappen. I expect his dominance to continue there. He's been mega every time we've turned up there, hasn't he, since 2001. Absolutely fantastic. Max has won every single time we've been there. I expect nothing less next time out. But who will make up the big gaps? We've got a bit of a break. No teams can do anything for 2 weeks. They shut down the factories. Everybody goes and has a break, and then back to racing they come after 2 weeks. Get ready for the Zandvoort Grand Prix, and it'd be a crucial 2 weeks, wouldn't it? Especially for some of these teams in the middle where the battle is really, really tight. Alpine sort of thrown them back itself in the mix this weekend. McLaren been pegged back a little bit by Ferrari and the Mercedes, especially in the race, but it's really tense. Aston Martin, after a decent race, are they getting back in the mix? Let's see. It's all to play for. It's so tight between, if we forget Red Bulls, I mean, the midfield battle is absolutely brilliant. We've seen overtaking left, right and centre around the outside. Albon, it was fantastic racing if you look at that side of it. But let's see, a well-deserved break. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. I'll see you in the next video.